Hi everyone on Facebook and YouTube. I am Joshua Shipman and this is the Moral Reform Chronicles. Today we are starting back and reading in this book, Enjoying Intimacy with God by J. Oswald Sanders. And we are in chapter 9 and we're about to read right now the heading where it says, Victory over the Flesh. Walking in the Spirit does not mean that we will be immune from the pull of fleshly desires. When the Spirit fills us, He does take control of our personality, but He does not dehumanize us. The desires will assert themselves, but we will be enabled by the Spirit's strengthening to refrain from gratifying them. We are still in the field of battle, but we no longer fight alone. We have a powerful, though unseen, ally on whom to rely. A walk in the Spirit will, of necessity, be a walk in accordance with the Word the Spirit has inspired. The parallel between Ephesians 5, verses 8 through 21, and Colossians 3, verses 6 through 17, is significant. The same results are said to flow from being filled with the Spirit, in the first case, and being filled with the Word, in the second. To remain filled with the Spirit and thus enjoy His continuing sanctifying work will mean continuing to be filled with the Word. The relationship is obvious. It will also be a walk in obedience to the divine will that is basic. The Lord will not admit to His intimate fellowship those who walk in disobedience, for that grieves the Spirit and forfeits His aid. As we walk by the Spirit, following His promptings, the voice of fleshly desire will lose its power to allure. In his book, White Fang, Jack London told of an animal of that name who was half wolf, half dog. One day, White Fang strayed into a hen run and killed several hens. The owner was naturally very angry. White Fang's trainer said to him, "I will guarantee that he will remain a whole afternoon in the hen run and not kill a single chicken." The test began. Whenever the old lust to kill asserted itself, his master's voice recalled, "White Fang," again and again, until at last the force of the impulse had spent itself as he listened midst of the hens. When he woke up, he yawned and jumped out of the hen run. The temptation had no more power to allure. White Fang's victory over his wolf nature sprang from the restraining power of his loved master's voice. So with us, sensitive obedience to the restraining and empowering voice of the Spirit brings victory. That is not the mere damning back of the temptation, only for it to break out once again. Worse than ever, it is the counteracting operation of a higher and more powerful law, Romans 8:2. That principle was powerfully illustrated to the Greek myths of Ulysses and the Sirens and Jason and the Argonauts. When Ulysses and his men set out on their journey of conquest, they were warned by Circe, to avoid the Sirens at all costs. She told them that the Sirens' voices were alluring but fatal to all who stopped to listen. The unfortunate listeners became rooted like a tree and could not tear themselves away until they died of hunger. "Fill your companions' ears with wax," she counseled. "If you yourself want to listen to their song, first let your men bind you securely to the mast." Ulysses heeded her advice. "If the melody beguiles me," he ordered them, "I charge you disobey my word and bend more strongly to your oars." At length Ulysses heard the beautiful strains that stole into his mind and overpowered his body and overcame his will. As the music came sweeter and sweeter, Ulysses' love for home weakened. He struggled with his shame, but at last the bewitching voices of the Sirens prevailed. "Loose me and let me stay with the Sirens," he raged. He threatened and entreated. He promised his men mountains of gold with desperate signs and gestures. His men only bound him more securely. He raged and tore at his bonds. for it was agony for him to leave the spot. But not until the last sound of music died away did they loose him. He had passed out of the zone of temptation. Jason with his Argonauts set out in search of the golden fleece. Medea warned Jason and his men of the menace of the Sirens as they began to hear the bewitching strains. All around they could see the shore strewn with the bones of those who had succumbed to the Sirens' charms. On board the boat was Orpheus, how you say the name, the king of minstrels. Let them match their songs with mine, he challenged the three maidens whom they could see, and whose silvery voices stole over the moonlit waters. There were seagulls in long lines and shoals of fish. They came to listen. The oars of Jason's heroes fell from their hypnotized hands, their heads drooped, and their heavy eyes closed. Then Medea cried to Orpheus, "Sing louder! Wake up these sluggards!" Orpheus struck his skillful hand over the strings of his lyre, I don't know, Lyre, and his voice rose like a trumpet. The music penetrated the souls of the infatuated men, and their souls thrilled. Orpheus kept on singing until his voice completely drowned the voices of the Sirens. Once again the Argonauts took up their oars, and Jason and his men sailed to victory. "Sing the song again, Orpheus," they cried. "We will dare and suffer to the last." Those stories strikingly illustrate two possible ways of gaining victory over the desires of the flesh. One is the way of negations and prohibitions. I can't even say it. Prohibitions. Like prohibitings. I guess that's how you say it, but hopefully you know what I'm trying to say. I'll spell it out for you. Prohibitions. They are of some help and have their place. Ulysses was bound, otherwise he would have yielded to the cravings of his heart. His men had wax in their ears, or they too would have yielded. The teachings of Buddha and Confucius could bring us as far as that, but it is okay, give me a moment. Incontrovertible fact that to concentrate the mind on the desires of the flesh, if only to conquer them, seems to intensify the desires. How much better is the Orphean music than the Ulyssean wax? When the heavenly Orpheus on board, as we listen to his heavenly music, the voices of the Sirens lose the power of their appeal, and our spirits are free. It is all a matter of who is in control of the life. The self-life, with its unlawful desires and tendencies, is the citadel, citadel, of the fleshly principle, and it will continue to dominate until it is consigned to the cross. In the very passage we have been studying, Paul wrote, "Those who belong to Christ Jesus have crucified the flesh with its passions and desires." Galatians 5:24. That is involved in walking by the Spirit and results in our emancipation from yielding to the desires of the flesh. So, then it says Kenneth S. West or West, I don't know. Galatians in the Greek New Testament. Chicago, Moody, 1944. So there you have it for today, and we will be heading into Chapter 10. Thank you for all being with me, and I hope that this video is very encouraging, and I hope that you are having a very wonderful day. Don't forget that all things are possible with God, and you can overcome anything by your complete willingness and obedience. God bless all of you. Have a wonderful evening on this Wednesday evening.